Hello, my name is Scott Halverson, and today we are back. It's been a while since we made a video. I know there was a couple weeks there we haven't made a video, but we are back and we're going to make another one this week. We're going to be talking about a game released by Amazon Studios here a couple weeks ago, and it is called New World. Quick rundown of what New World is a MMO set in a high-ish fantasy steampunk mix. And it's kind of a fun game, so we're gonna have a little chit chat about it, and towards the end there, we'll even talk about the faction I'm joining and the name of my guild, and if you guys, we'll even give you some information on how you can join my guild or my company, I guess is what they call it in this game, and we can talk more about that. So anyway, so to start with, the game has been I think about a couple weeks now, and so there've been some bugs and some polishes, but for the most part, for the record, I did play this in since the NDA is lifted, I can tell you, I did play this in beta, and it was pretty fun. Unfortunately, it was only like 7 days, and I didn't get to do a whole ton of stuff, but there was plenty to do in that 7 days. But we're not going to be talking about that part. We're going to be talking about the part where I'm actually playing now, and what I've learned so far, and what my favorite parts are. So, anyway, to start off with, I noticed the first thing I noticed is when you create a character, there is an okay amount of customization to your characters. It's not incredibly robust and deep like some games, but it's enough that it keeps the average Joe happy, And I think that's okay. I know there's some people that are absolutely going to hate that. A lot of people like the really hardcore character creation, and that's fine. Everybody has their preferences. For me, it was okay. I didn't mind it. And I'm not really into the whole, hey, what does my character look like? Anyway, I just really want to just play the game and get to the guts of it and what's the stuff I do and like and don't like. And as far as character creation goes, I'm up in the air about it. It doesn't really bother me one way or another. So we're going to skip past that because that's not even the exciting part. So I guess before we get going too far here, there might be a spoiler or two. So if it's something... I'm trying not to give out too much of the game, but if there's something that you want to maybe experience on your own, you might want to not listen to this podcast and just wait until you play the game before you come back to it. Then you can hear my opinion on it. So, anyhow, on to the game. When you create a character, you start off on a boat, essentially, and then your boat crashes, and you end up on the shore. And this is kind of the tutorial mode where you end up on the shore. Now, what you don't know is when you end up on a shore, you could end up in any of 3 starting zones, which I didn't know. Okay, so to be fair, I should have known there was multiple starting zones, but I did not. For whatever reason, it just never occurred to me. And so when I started up, I was thinking, hey, I have a friend of mine that's playing on this one server, and I'm going to run up to that town that he's in, and I'm just going to go play. Well, ends up being his starting zone and my starting zone were 2 different places, and the run was a considerable distance, so I never did make it up there. Anyway, so yeah, you start off in basically a shipwrecked coast. I believe that's what the starting zones will look like. And you just run through and do some basic stuff and, do the basic MMO quests. Hey, go kill this, go kill one of these, go kill 3 of these, go do this, go do that. Well, that's not too bad. The combat is a very interactive combat. You can't just click, auto target, and then just shoot until something's dead. That's not, this game does not work like that. Some of the lower levels, yes, you can get away with some of that, but you start fighting some of the more, you start fighting some mobs that are a little tougher, a little more elite. You do have to have a little bit of strategy, and of course, in this game, there is like the dodge, the sidestep. When you shoot something, you have to point and shoot at it. When you're using your magic, you have to basically target it. It's not auto target, and there's no lock on as far as I know. And then you can shoot. Well, if that target moves before your bullet or your spell gets there, you miss. So there is that. It's a little challenge, and I kind of like that. I think that is a very promising feature of the game. I do like that kind of combat. I don't mind games where you have auto-targeting, you can lock onto somebody. That's fine too. But I do kind of like this. I kind of like the challenge that it brings to the game. So yeah, so but again, that's of course that's a preference. I like that kind of stuff. So anyway, you run through some quests, you do some of this and that, and the first thing you'll notice when you get in the one of the first things you're going to notice before you do anything, even before the combat and the tutorial, is the game actually is really fantastic looking. I like the ambiance, the way the graphics look. I like the way the lighting and the shadows and all that stuff works. To me, it's just enough to be really cool, but it's not so much that it's like overly realistic and like the game's not trying to push the boundary on the edge of graphics. So people with PCs that maybe aren't the newest, current, greatest and latest model can't play it, right? Which I find I like that a lot. But the game still has fantastic lighting, fantastic scenery, tons and tons of different trees and different plants and different grasses and different rocks, and so you're not seeing just copy pasted the same rock over and over, or the same trees or the same bushes or whatever. It's really good. It's one of my favorite parts of the game by far. Is just the way it looks and the way how smooth the play is. So yeah, when you get in the game, that's one of the first things you notice. Combat, like I said again, is super easy, super smooth. So I kind of like that too. So that's a bonus there. You get in the game, like I said, you get in the game, you do some quests, you move on, and then at some point you get up to your first major town. Well, for me, it was the First Light. I believe that's the name of the town, First Light. It's on the southern edge of the continent, and for me, it was controlled by the Syndicate when I logged in, which is something we're going to get talked about here in a little bit, is the factions. But so that was kind of cool. I got to excuse me. I got to get to the first town, and I guess by that point you realize that they're really leveling is a thing, but it's not like the thing. It doesn't really dictate what's going on in your game. I'm not 100% sure why they even have leveling other than for attributes, because when you level, then you get some points to put into your attributes, which would be like your strength, your intelligence, and things like that. But, constitution. But, that's about it. That's about all it's for, because the rest of it is skill-based. So, like, if you pick up a hammer, you get hammer XPs. You pick up swords, you get sword XPs. You pick up rapier, you get rapier XPs. Hatchet XPs, and this and that. So basically, the more you use a skill, the higher that skill goes, regardless of level. If that makes any sense. So that's kind of cool. I love that. There was an MMO back in the day called Ultima Online that was like that, to some extent. And yeah, you just basically used the skill and that you got XPs in it. I mean, not XPs, but you got XPs in the skill, and then you would level up the skill and not your character, if that makes sense. You're still leveling up your character, but you're also leveling up just your skills individually, which is really awesome. So most MMOs are like, you get a level, you get some points to put in stuff, put in your skills. Well, no, in this game, you have to use the weapon to gain a skill. So pretty cool. You basically, when I started out with a sword and a shield, and I kind of like that. I kind of like the defensive aspect and the different bonuses. And when you do get sword shield mastery, you can go ahead and put points in one of two channels. Now, you can choose to put your point when you level up in your sword, not your character level up, but your skill level up. You can put your point in either one side, like for the sword and shield, you can either put points in shield or you can put points in sword. So it's kind of cool. It gives you a little customization like that, so you can kind of specialize however you want. But there's nothing stopping you from leveling up all of the weapons they have, right? All the different weapons sets they have. And the same thing goes along, you'll notice by the time you get to the first town, the same thing goes along with the harvesting. Everything you harvest is skill-based. So if I want to go out and harvest rocks, then my mining goes up. If I want to go harvest trees, then my logging goes up. If I want to harvest, bushes for berries and stuff like that, then my normal harvesting goes up and this and that. And that's how all the skills go. Again, I can't say how much I love that. I do love that. The only downfall to that would be it's a big grind. Like, I'm not going to lie. When you want to chop down and get your logging up to wood cutting, I think it's called, but you want to get your wood cutting up to, say, 100 so you can start chopping some of the older trees or the more fancy trees. You got to cut down a lot of trees, man. Like, a lot. And that, that's okay. It's just, you just have to know that getting into it. When you do skill-based stuff, there's going to be a lot of grinding on your skills if you want to raise your skill. Nothing says you have to. You don't have to raise your skill to play the game. You can just go to the trading post and buy everything you want there and keep doing it there and not craft your own stuff. I personally love the crafting system in this game. So to me, it was just a bonus to harvest and craft. And crafting, again, is the same thing. You just have to, if you want to raise your arcana or alchemy, then you raise your alchemy. If you want to raise your smithing, you raise your smithing. If you want to raise your engineering, you raise your engineering. And it's all skill-based again. It has nothing to do with what level you are. If you have the right mats and everything, you probably can stay pretty low level and level all your skills up to max level. Excuse me again. So anyway. Pardon me. Whoa. And it's a absolute joy to play a game that lets you just work on your skills the way you want to and not be forced to go down one path or another. With that said, again, grinding. So that's if, of course, you do want to do that. But there's more to do in the game than that. You can save your money up. You can go grind. You can do whatever you want. But you can also get housing. Housing's kind of interesting. I have not purchased my first house yet. It is a expensive proposition, and the way everything, housing, and all this stuff works. Okay, we're gonna get into some of that in a little bit. So we're just gonna talk. There is housing. We're gonna go ahead and move on to what happens next. You get into the town, and then you choose a faction. Now, there are 3 factions in this game, which, for PvP and for non-PvP, it's still 3 factions. The factions are the Syndicate, which are like the brain people, the smart guys, the bookworms. You got the Marauders, which, of course, are what they sound like, pirates, marauders, random barbarians. Then you got the Covenant, which is like the goody two-shoes. And the PvP is it's a 3 versus 3 type situation, or not 3 versus 3, but it's I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. 3 factions fighting it out to claim towns and claim territories and do all that within the continent. But there's many territories, and each faction generally claims 1 or 2 territories, maybe 3 if they're really lucky, but or 3 or 4, whatever it is. Anyway, I'm getting a little confused here. Trying to keep everything in a streamlined manner, but it is hard because there's so much to talk about with this game. Anyway, we're going to get back to it. So 3 factions, and it's up to you whatever you choose. It doesn't really make any difference because even if you're like, when I started out in the Syndicate town, I actually started out as a Covenant faction, and it didn't make any difference. The only difference it would make is if your faction owns the town, there are some faction perks that you can get from town that, say, a Covenant player or a Marauder would not get if it was a Syndicate town. So that's something to be mindful of. Try to be in a town that the starting town or the town that your faction owns, because then you do have some extra perks. Of course, there's a whole lot to it, a lot more to it than that. But I can't give you tons of knowledge on all the perks because I'm only maybe 40 hours into this game. And that's not a considerable amount of time for this game. So, I do know that taking a town as far as faction goes isn't as simple as just going up, raiding and killing everybody in town or fighting everybody off. There's a lot more to it. There's town quests, there's faction quests, there's faction PvP quests, factions PvE quests, and all of it goes towards the balancing of the town and the population and the territory. Now, not only is there PvP like that, And we'll make a better video in the future when I've done a little PvP, so we're going to kind of skip a little bit past that. But there is also another entity, a fourth entity, that tends to cause problems in this game for players. And then there's this, which is like the invasion force. There's like this a PvE environment force that invades territories and causes all kinds of problems for players when they're trying to quest in areas, because all these like portals open up and they start spawning like these undead dudes. I'm not 100% sure what the names of them are, and I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but it is interesting. And the problem with that is when you're a low-level character and you're running around, you start... None of this is like 25. 25 level is the lowest recommended level for fighting this. So you have 25 levels before you can really do anything about it. And then it goes all the way up to 50, of course, 50 to 60 for some of the higher end invasion forces. But yeah, you got to go out and fight off the invasion forces. Thankfully, most of the high level players are eager to go out and do that. There must be some perks or something that I don't know about yet to cover that. So anyway, I guess I've rambled a lot about this. And I just wanted you to hear a little bit about it, even if it was a little bit chaotic. Like I said, crafting and mining and harvesting and resources. There's so much in this game. It's like I have to make another video or another couple videos about this game, or a couple more podcasts about this game to give you all the info that I possibly could. And maybe I will make some videos and I'll put them up on YouTube so you guys can see what it's about. And maybe I'll make another podcast delving into maybe a specific type of thing. Maybe like the faction warfare, or taking control of city, or city perks based on faction and based on your stuff. There's just, like I said, there's many layers to this game. And if you like a game that is actually a fairly deep game, but still pretty and still pretty easy to play, like I played solo most of the time, and not that hard, I promise you. It is a fun, relaxing play. So I don't feel bad about not logging in every day. I don't feel bad about missing a day or two or a war here or there, because I can just log in and keep continuing on, and it doesn't seem so far to really hurt me as a player. The game is not punishing me as a player for not being part of the high-end, late game PvP stuff. So, anyway, that is my take. If I had to give New World a, star rating, 1 being the worst and 5 being the best, I would give it a 4, maybe even a 4.5 stars so far. Of course, I haven't played any of the end-game content, so that could change, but right now it's about a 4, 4.5, and I've enjoyed it a lot. And I look forward to playing many more hours this weekend and weekends to come. So, anyway, like I said, if you want to play this game and you think you may want to try it, play it with us, it's about $40, I think you can get it for on Steam. But there is no monthly subscription or anything like that, and I'm sure that if you waited, you'd probably get it on sale at some point. But if you want to do that, hit me up, message me. You can get me through Guff Stuff, Facebook page. Just private message me, and I will tell you what server and the name of my guild. And you can come hook up, we'll play together. Anyway, I just want to give you a little rundown on the New World made by Amazon Studios. Thank you for listening to this video, and you all have a great day. My name is Scott. You call me Guff. I'll be signing off.